Founders Floor, a co-working accelerator for startups.
In regards to Emergence Capital, I mean, you guys have invested in a lot of great founders and companies, and a lot of those founders were individuals that people didn't know about prior to that. And I'm just going to go off on a little bit of a list here, so that folks in the audience know some of those. I mean, Emergence, invested in Yammer with David Sachs, Aaron Levy, Box.net, Eric Yon, Zoom, Salesforce.com, obviously with Mark Benoff. I mean, that's a heck of a list. How do you guys spot early talent like that? And early, I mean, I know it's a loaded question, but I mean, these names that we all know about now, I'm not saying they're nobodies before, but nobody really knew about them before.
I think the way we cheat is by being focused. Mm-hmm. So we just do one thing and we try to do it really well. And that's what any company should do early on, is do one thing and be the best at that. Define your own turf rather than, I'm going to bowl the ocean, because that's going to be really hard. So for us, focusing on that software as a service category early on allowed us to see every company in that space. So when you see every company in the space, you develop that pattern recognition that enables you to pick the best. Hopefully, you're going to be right about the category, so then the best company in that category is going to make it. But our strategy has always been to focus, talk to every company in the categories that we deem interesting, and then pick the best company. And picking the best company is not picking the best metrics or the best logo. It's all about the founding team and the culture, at least for us. So we spend a lot of time with the teams. We try to understand what makes them tick. I mean, why are they doing what they're doing? If they're just doing it because they want to make money, it's probably not the right motivation. It's a very long journey. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. So you need to love what you're doing in order to make it worth it. So that's what we're trying to understand as we spend time with entrepreneurs. And whenever I decide to partner with an entrepreneur, I try to get to the bottom of it. It's like, even if this doesn't work out, are you going to be happy about the journey? Because the odds are against all of us. And if you think about all the companies that get started, the majority don't make it. So if you start with that and you're still going to feel great, even if you don't make it, then you should do it. If not, just get a job somewhere else.
Yeah. You guys, absolutely kind of the godfather of SaaS, if you will, in regards to VC firms. And, you guys really moved into that early. You guys also invest in really Series A and beyond, maybe a little bit in seed, maybe sometimes, I guess. I don't know.
No, we're super focused on Series A.
Okay.
So out of each fund, now we're investing out of our fourth fund. We will probably invest in about 19 to 21 companies. So not more than that. And for that to work, we need to be very focused. We invest in about 5 to 7 new companies a year. So again, very focused. We need those companies. First, we need good ownership in those companies, given the stage that we invest in. And we need those companies to be at a stage where the product phase has already been validated. We call it early revenue. So we don't invest pre-product market fit. That's not what we're great at. Our DNA is not going to be able to help those companies figure out product market fit. What we've done over and over again is help companies scale sales and marketing. That's what we love doing. That's where we have a pattern recognition, and that's where we have our network. So when we invest in a company like Zoom, very early stage, early revenue, we know what to look for. We know the type of people that they need to hire. We know how to talk about pricing, how to talk about ICP, ideal customer profile. So that's what we love to do.
Gotcha. So, all right. So really, the good time for companies who are fundraising, now maybe in the audience and others is to know when to approach you is maybe when they're ready to raise a Series A, or maybe after they've raised that seed round for themselves, and they're really meeting some milestones they need to hit, and they're starting to hit some metrics that are going to make them get closer to that Series A round. That's a good time to maybe reach out to you guys and be on your radar at least? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think reaching out to Series A investors or Series B investors, super early on when you still don't have that early product market fit is going to waste a lot of your time. Because from my point of view, I'm going to take meetings with all of you because it's like, yeah, I want to learn. I just want to make sure that I know what's out there. But for you guys, it's going to be a waste of time if you do that with Emergence, with other firms. So once you raise that seed round, you should focus on getting to that early product market fit. Once you feel that you have something figured out and you're on a great trajectory, that's when you start building relationships. Not right before raising a Series A, but somewhere in between. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to end up raising a Series A round from an investor, you're going to be partnering with that investor for 7 to 10 years. So you don't want it to be like a speed dating 3-week process where you need to commit to someone for the next 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those KPI metrics that you like to see in startups that are SaaS focused? But more importantly, what do these businesses need to focus on themselves from a KPI point of view to be able to build a high growth business and to get to the point where they can be tantalizing enough to be able to go and potentially, get an investment from Series A type of VCs? What are those KPIs?
Given our stage, what we focus on is customer adoption. Mm-hmm. And customer adoption is not just you have 6 customers, 2 customers, 10, 100. It's like, I'm going to call a few of your customers. Mm-hmm. What I want to hear is, if you turn this off, I'm going to quit my job and switch industries. Mm-hmm. You can't turn this off. Mm-hmm. When we hear that customer love from 1, 2, 5, or 10 customers, that's what gets us. Because that shows us that there's early product market fit. Now we need to get more of those customers.
Yeah. Some of those acronyms that get thrown around in the SaaS world that startups absolutely have to start monitoring and optimizing. And maybe we can walk through some of those, and maybe you can help the audience kind of understand what those acronyms mean, and maybe what some of the metrics need to be associated with those, like MRR, ARR, churn, LTV, CAC. These are all like kind of sometimes crazy metrics, but the reality is they're super important once you get to that point where you're looking to build a really big business and vie for a Series A funding.
Yeah, and there are too many metrics to focus on. There are very few that really matter. For us, the ones that really matter are churn and engagement. Because you might have low churn, but if you're signing up annual contracts and none of those contracts have come to the point where they need to renew, your churn is going to be 0. That doesn't mean that people are using your product. So that's why engagement is a great complement to that churn metric. Because if you sold someone an annual contract and they're not using it, guess what? They're going to churn. It's just that it hasn't happened yet. So for us, those metrics matter a lot. Then as you start scaling, we try to focus a little bit on what we call sales efficiency. And the way we measure sales efficiency is by looking at how much money do you need to spend in sales and marketing to get a new $1 of annual recurring revenue. So you put in $1, how much do you get out in that first year? And in the early days of software as a service, people were spending between $2 to $4 to get a new $1 of ACV. That meant that you had to wait at least 2 to 4 years, if not more, to get repaid your customer acquisition cost. And that's because a lot of it was push, was field sales, so it was very expensive. Now with networks and viral products like Dropbox or even Zoom, you can see companies spending 60 cents or 50 cents to get a new $1 of ACV.